Well, on top of all of that, just a devastating indicator of how painful this pandemic has been for the U.S. economy. We just learned this morning U.S. economic growth shrank 32.9% in the second quarter. That is by far the largest quarterly drop since record-keeping began in 1947. This as millions of unemployed Americans will lose their $600 a week additional aid tomorrow as Congress has failed yet again to reach a deal. With me now, Margaret Anadou, head of urban investment at Goldman Sachs. Margaret, it's so good to get to you, and we'll get to Goldman's report specifically highlighting how devastating this has been for the Black community, because it's even worse. But just your reaction to this GDP number. We knew it was going to be bad, but the White House is still rosy. I mean, you heard Larry Kudlow over the weekend, the National Economic Council head, saying, I still think there's going to be 20% growth in the third and fourth quarters. And he said, I don't think the economy is going south. I think it's going north. Is it?
Yeah. Those numbers, there's no other way to describe it. They are alarming. And I really hope it's a wake up for Congress. Individuals, families, businesses, communities are hurting right now. This pandemic is no one's fault. No one asked for this. And this needs to be a wake up call for Congress that we need additional support now, not just the extension on the unemployment insurance, but more support for small businesses. And this is not an issue for a month from now or weeks from now. This is urgent.
I said earlier in the show, it's inexcusable that Congress has not come to a deal. They had months to come to a deal. They knew that this additional aid was going to end tomorrow. And now nothing is going to happen for, it looks like, at least a matter of weeks. Moody's analysis, I'm sure you saw this yesterday, said that nearly 1 million jobs could be lost to the end of the year. Unemployment could tick up 0.6% with that loss of the $600 if it goes down to $200 a week. Is Goldman's analysis similar?
It's similar, and it's also what we're hearing from our business owners, right, who employ half of the private workforce. 84% of small businesses that we were able to be in touch with over the last few weeks said that they're going to run out of funding, and that's for their expenses, that's for their employees, by the end of next week. So it's very consistent with what we're hearing.
So the analysis that you guys have done along with Babson College that you just mentioned, it's surveying 10,000 small businesses across the country. And what you found for Black business owners is devastating. I want to point to this particular statistic as we pull some of them up on the screen. Only 7% of Black small business owners say they are very confident they can maintain payroll without more federal assistance. And as you know, this is not just about the current situation they're in. This is about decades of, systemic discrimination. This is about decades of unequal access to capital. What is your message to Congress right now about how specifically to target and aid those Black-run businesses?
Yeah, so it's two things. So, you mentioned that this is not just about this moment. So the issues that Black businesses are facing in terms of access to capital, it predates this pandemic. It is well understood, well known that Black businesses are much less likely to have relationships with the large, financial institutions. And so what Congress needs to do is not just pass additional aid for small businesses, but they also need to think about how to support the institutions who are successful in serving Black businesses. So through our work, we've had a lot of success working with community development financial institutions and minority depository institutions, so the Black banks who have decades of experience and a mission in serving those Black businesses, providing the technical assistance, getting them the capital they need. And so if we want to save these businesses, we not only need to pass the additional small business assistance, but make sure that that assistance actually reaches those Black businesses. And that's through these mission-driven intermediaries who have a mission of doing that work.
I think it's important for us not to get back to the economy as it was, because that was not an equitable economy. For most, it's important to take this crisis, learn from it, and reimagine a much more just and equitable economy. Final point, this is not getting a lot of attention, but I think it should, and that is the SBA, the Small Business Association, reversed their original guidance on PPP that said that many formerly incarcerated people couldn't get it. Right. So that it just further hampers their ability to dig out of the economic hole many are still in. You're urging Congress to build on that. What does Congress need to do? Make the case.
Yeah, so the original limitation was that for business owners that were justice involved over the last 10 years, they were not able to apply for PPP. And so what the change did, it shortened that 10 years to 1 year. They need to get rid of it altogether, right? For folks who have defied all odds, been able to have some criminal justice involvement, which we know that system is flawed, and still come out of it and start a business and employ people, why should they not get assistance in this moment? There's zero reason why that makes sense. And so Congress needs to go all the way and get rid of those limitations entirely.
Well, we know a lot of members of Congress watch, so hopefully they're listening to this. Margaret, we appreciate you highlighting these issues. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.